You wanna be my only big boy bottom, baby?
Yes, I can.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
You gonna cook for me?
Yes, I can.
Huh?
Yes, I
Gonna
can.
wash my clothes?
Yeah, I can.
That's what I'm talking about. You gonna wait on me hand and foot?
Yes, I can.
The United States Senate just descended into absolute chaos. A total of 18 Republican senators joined all 51 Democrats this morning to advance articles of impeachment against Donald Trump, marking the first time in American history that a president faces impeachment proceedings led by members of his own party while still in office.
The United States Senate did not simply open debate today. It erupted. What unfolded inside the chamber has already been described by veteran lawmakers as one of the most destabilizing moments in modern American political history. 18 Republican senators broke ranks and joined all 51 Democrats to advance articles of impeachment against Donald Trump, an act so unprecedented that constitutional scholars are still scrambling for historical comparisons. This is the first time in American history that a sitting president has faced impeachment proceedings initiated and driven by members of his own party while still in office. And make no mistake, this was not symbolic resistance. This was not a protest vote. This was not political theater. This was a coordinated, bipartisan response to allegations so severe that senators who once defended Trump at all costs are now openly calling for his removal. According to multiple lawmakers, the rupture was triggered by revelations from a classified intelligence briefing, material so disturbing that even Trump's closest Senate allies reportedly described it as devastating. When the Senate Majority Whip co-sponsors impeachment articles alongside the opposing party, it's not a warning shot. It's a collapse. So before we go any further, subscribe right now, because what's unfolding here isn't just another political scandal. It's a constitutional reckoning happening in real time. What triggered the Republican revolt? According to senators who attended a mandatory classified briefing on January 20th, U.S. intelligence officials presented evidence alleging that Donald Trump personally authorized the sharing of highly classified signals intelligence with a foreign adversary in exchange for personal business concessions. Senators from both parties reportedly characterized the alleged conduct as a direct betrayal of the presidential oath. Sources familiar with the briefing say the evidence included intercepted communications, detailed financial records, sworn testimony from national security officials who witnessed the exchanges. This was not an argument over policy. This was not a disagreement about diplomacy. This was not partisan spin. Constitutional scholars are already calling it the most serious alleged threat to a sitting presidency since Watergate. And when Republican senators who voted to acquit Trump in 2 previous impeachments now lead the charge for his removal, something far deeper than political disagreement has fractured the party. Hear how it unfolded. The briefing that shook the Senate. Tensions had been building quietly since early January, when the Senate Intelligence Committee, chaired by Mark Warner with Vice Chair Marco Rubio, opened an investigation into unauthorized disclosures of classified information. But everything detonated on January 20th. That morning, the full Senate was summoned to a mandatory classified briefing inside the chamber's secure facility. Intelligence officials described the matter as involving grave and immediate threats to national security linked to executive branch actions. The briefing, led by Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines and NSA Director Timothy Haw, lasted 4 hours. According to senators who spoke afterward, lawmakers from both parties emerged visibly shaken. What they were allegedly shown was a 6-month pattern of conduct in which Trump reportedly shared classified signals intelligence concerning U.S. military capabilities in the South China Sea with representatives of a foreign government, allegedly in exchange for approval of Trump Organization development projects valued at roughly $2 billion. The evidence presented reportedly included decrypted communications between Trump and foreign officials, Treasury-tracked financial transfers, sworn testimony from 4 national security officials who filed protected whistleblower disclosures. According to Senator Angus King, the alleged disclosures compromised ongoing military operations, exposed intelligence collection methods developed over decades, and potentially endangered human sources. This was not about judgment calls. This was not about executive privilege. This was about allegations that a president traded national security secrets for personal financial gain. If this is making sense so far, hit that like button, because it only gets more explosive from here. The meeting that changed everything. Within 2 hours of the briefing ending, Senator Mitt Romney called an emergency meeting of what he described as concerned Republicans. 17 Republican senators reportedly attended, including Senate Majority Whip John Thune, Judiciary Chair Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, Todd Young. The meeting lasted 90 minutes. Staffers say the atmosphere outside the room was tense, silent, and unlike anything they'd seen before. According to senators who later spoke anonymously, Romney opened with a blunt assessment. "We have just seen evidence that the President of the United States betrayed his oath of office for personal profit. If we do not act, we make ourselves complicit. History will judge what we do in the next 48 hours. Then something happened that reportedly stunned the room. Lindsey Graham, one of Trump's most vocal defenders, stood up. According to multiple accounts, his voice broke as he said, "I've defended this president through everything, but what we saw isn't politics. It isn't policy. If accurate, it meets any reasonable definition of treason." That moment, senators say, changed everything. Marco Rubio reportedly followed, stating that the intelligence was irrefutable. Intercepts, financial records, witnesses prepared to testify under oath. "If we don't impeach for this," Rubio allegedly said, "we're saying there is nothing a president cannot do." Drop a comment if you saw this coming. I read every single one. The unthinkable move. By early evening, the group had drafted articles of impeachment. That alone was historic. Impeachment traditionally originates in the House, but according to Romney, Republican control of the House made accountability impossible. "The Senate has direct knowledge of high crimes," he later said. "We have a constitutional duty to act." At midnight on January 21st, the articles were released. They contained 2 charges. Article 1, betrayal of national security for personal gain. Article 2, obstruction of congressional oversight. But the most devastating aspect wasn't the charges, it was the documentation. While much of the evidence remains classified, the public portions cite declassified intelligence excerpts, including dates, dollar amounts, and transaction patterns. One passage describes an August 12, 2024, meeting at Trump's private club, where intercepted communications allegedly show Trump disclosing top-secret intelligence capabilities in exchange for foreign approval of Trump Organization projects. Another details wire transfers totaling $847 million, initiated days after the alleged disclosure. Transactions Treasury investigators reportedly concluded represented quid pro quo payments. At that moment, Washington froze. This was no longer theoretical. This was no longer partisan. This was no longer survivable through loyalty alone. Why this time is different. Trump survived 2 previous impeachments because his party held the line. This time, the line broke from the inside. 18 Republicans have already committed to conviction. 8 to 10 more are reportedly considering it. The evidence, according to senators briefed, includes intercepted communications, where Trump allegedly acknowledges the classified nature of what he's sharing. Financial records showing repeated disclosure payment patterns. Whistleblower testimony from military officers, intelligence analysts, and White House staff. Legal experts say there is no defense strategy that neutralizes all 3 simultaneously. And that's why scholars are calling this the gravest constitutional crisis since Watergate, possibly worse. Former CIA Director John Brennan stated that if proven, the conduct would mirror offenses prosecuted under espionage statutes. Even former Attorney General William Barr acknowledged in a public op-ed that the allegations, if substantiated, would represent a fundamental betrayal of the presidential oath. What happens next? The Senate is now paralyzed. Legislation halts. Confirmations freeze. The government grinds to a standstill. A full Senate trial is expected within weeks, presided over by the Chief Justice. Witnesses may testify. Classified evidence will be reviewed in closed session. 100 senators will vote on whether to remove a sitting president. Trump's response, attacking Republican defectors, may have only accelerated the collapse of his support. Polls now show a majority of Americans, including a significant share of Republicans, support a full trial with witnesses. This isn't just about Trump. This is about whether impeachment still works, whether national security can be protected from monetization, whether partisan loyalty has limits. Because if a president can trade classified intelligence for personal profit and survive, then impeachment is dead, and future presidents will know it. The articles are filed. The trial is coming, and the entire constitutional system is on the line. If you want to stay ahead of this unfolding crisis, subscribe now, because the next chapter will determine not just Trump's fate, but the future of presidential accountability itself.